Welcome to Uniquely Loved, a celebration of authenticity and divine inspiration. We are encouraged to be our own unique, authentic selves. Join me, Tech Witch Niki, as we discuss spiritual gifts and skills we can develop and enhance, speak with amazing people using their skills in a variety of ways, and explore the different ways to connect to the wonders of the universe.
Hello, my loves. I am happy to introduce Nina Schulze. She is a master hypnotherapist that specializes in past life regression and healing facilitation. Past life regression has always been a fascinating subject for her because she's always been incredibly interested in the history and the stories of the past and their connection to who we are today. Nina, thank you so much for being on the show today.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm really excited to be here.
Oh, I'm so happy to have you here. And you've had a very interesting journey delving into your own ancestry. Can you tell us a little bit about your whole journey?
Yeah, sure. So I was, as a child, kind of like the black sheep, the strange child that always just did things weird, always asked the wrong questions. And I'd always kind of just wondered where that had come from. And in about 2018, I was a senior in high school. I started working on our family tree with my grandma. And just because I wanted to know, why am I the way that I am, right? The age old question. And it's literally taken me until like last summer to answer that question. Um, when we I was digging and constantly digging. I mean, it was, of course, back in 2018, we didn't really have, or not 2018, gosh, 1998. Back in 1998, there was virtually no internet. Everything was just getting started. So most of the stuff that we had was just, written word, stories. And then eventually it progressed to where we had the internet and Ancestry came out. And, even then at the very beginning, things were really slow and it was really hard to find information. So you could work on it for a day and then have to wait about 3 or 4 months before more information could really be found. It's not as easy as it is today. But I had finally gotten to that wonderful honeypot, I call it, last summer. I believe it was in June. And I was going in, and all of a sudden, I happened to come across the name Deliverance Dane. And that was my first discovery. That would be, and I have to bring out my notes here because I just have so much to remember. Deliverance Dane would be my 10th great grandmother on my dad's mother's side. Deliverance Dane is Abigail Faulkner's sister in law. Deliverance Dane did actually spend some time in prison and had to testify and was eventually released. So that is basically where that side comes from. Well, then about a month or so later, I was still working on Ancestry because, of course, I'm excited. And on my mother's side, I discover two interesting things. My 11th great grandfather on my mother's side was Dr. Roger Toothaker, who was persecuted and died in jail during the Salem witch trials. And then on the same subject, but also slightly related and probably a surprise for you, um, my ninth great grandmother is Mother Deborah Leeds, the mother of the Jersey Devil.
Wow.
So those discoveries were huge for me. Yeah, I mean, it was just kind of like I was totally fine with Deliverance Dane, like that made sense to me. But then it was like the more this stuff came out, I was like, this is no way, this is crazy, this is so cool. Like, so it's definitely made me want to dive into their lives and their stories just to learn more about them. And it's almost like a piece of my heart has been filled as well because I don't know, I just feel a lot more complete knowing this information. It's cool.
And that may have actually answered quite a few questions for you because it's like, huh, I take on some of those traits of, being the rebel.
Yes, that is exactly it. It helped me to make sense, and but also on a deeper level, I'm going to be 44 this year. This is the first time in my life with this discovery to not be ashamed of who I am, to not be scared of who I am. Um, when we think of witches and witchcraft and things like that, we think of Charmed, we think of The Chilling Adventures of Sabrina, we think of these things. But really, these people were regular people. They were, Dr. Roger Toothaker was an herbalist. He was a midwife. Deliverance Dane was just a woman that was just there. You know, some of these people were, Deliverance Dane's father-in-law was a minister who didn't believe in the witch trials. And that was part of the problem of why his family was, persecuted. So, they're regular people that did regular things, but just were not the norm. And it to me now, it's kind of like I have to be okay with the word witch, because it's like that's it really just was a derogatory term for somebody that was different. And being someone who has felt different my entire life, it's like I try to use that term now to be like embrace myself, and it's not a bad thing, but yet it's still like, I guess, offensive in one off another sense, because it's like, no, they're just people. Quit using it in that term. They're just people.
Oh, yeah. And of course, everybody has their own preconceived notion and how, we're conditioned to believe. And I always thought when I was a kid, seeing spirits and doing witchcraft and doing spells and everything, I was always intrigued by it. I would read books into palm reading and everything. And then I put it away for a long time because of, wanting to fit in, wanting to be more normal and accepted. And it's freeing when we can actually see ourselves and accept us as, the whole person that we are. It's amazing.
It is. And I don't know about you, but like doing that first spell that actually like comes into fruition, it's like, oh my God. It's so cool. Like I love my life now. I love embracing who I am. I love embracing who my ancestors are, and I love sharing it with people. Like that's kind of been a new, passion of mine now, especially, since we're in March and we're kind of talking about the Salem witch trials. We're in that anniversary. Really trying to bring awareness to people to understand, like this is what really happened. This isn't the crucible, this is what happened. These are who these people were. This is what their lives were like, So when you're hearing your pastors or whoever that are talking about the witches and the Jezebels, keep in mind that you also could have this ancestry.
Oh,
Because
yeah.
I don't think a lot of people think of that. They're so busy judging, but they're not realizing that their ancestor, could very well have been someone involved in the Salem witch trials on the opposite end of what they probably think.
Oh, yeah. I mean, most of people's ancestors are pagan at one point or another anyways, or even animist.
Yep.
So
Yep.
it's our beliefs as humans are always going to change. And witches back in the day were just as they are today, healers, alternative thinkers, seeking wisdom and learning in different avenues of approach, not just schooling.
Right. Right. I had actually read something really cool when I went back to school, and it was talking about how healing, was very much a part of the patriarchy, and how, at first it was just the priests that were able to do it. And then it kind of transformed into, well, then the kings wanted to do it. And therefore we've got the Midas touch. So then it was the priests and the kings that could heal. And anybody outside of that was deemed, a witch and horrible, when really it was just like almost anybody can do this. It's just a matter of, accepting those gifts. And, then I kind of watch some of these like older shows, like Outlander, for example, and how intuitive they are on there. And I start thinking about it, and I'm like, well, yeah, of course. I'm sure people were 100% more intuitive than they are today, because we didn't have TV, we didn't have social media. So these gifts, like, a lot of people probably tapped into it, not even thinking that they were doing it, not realizing that, later in time that they would be accused as witchcraft because they knew something.
Yeah. Oh yeah. And I know my husband would channel his spiritual team, our guides, unknowingly, because he has no filter. So if something just pops into his head, he'll just say it. And oftentimes it's just like, that's a little more profound than what you usually say. Huh? What I say?
Yep. I get that. we we recently, my husband was so funny. We're talking about an old neighbor of ours, and he was like, "Oh, we should probably go and visit them." And I had mentioned, I was like, "Well, his wife passed away. Did you know that?" And he was like, "No." He's like, "How did you know that?" And I was like, "I don't know." Well, then he called him a few days later, and sure enough, within the last few months, his wife had passed away, and he was like, "How did you know that?" I don't know. It just, and that was, one of those, it just, sometimes it just comes up and out. And then I'm like, where did that come from? Oh, okay.
Yep. And those little intuitive knowings, they can happen spontaneously, or it's just like, I don't know, like the cartoon light bulb over the head going off.
Yes, that's exactly, yes.
In fact, when I was finally researching, it's like, am I connected with anyone? Is like, who's on my spiritual team? And I started researching. I actually had that literal cartoon light bulb over the head moment when I read Hekate's name. And I was like, no, everything on here explains everything that I'm interested in ever, my entire life. Huh?
I love that. I love when you're able to you get those connections, and it's, the goosebumps come up and just all of the things that like make you, just validate those feelings and that knowing.
Hmm.
Because I think that that's like one of the biggest things too, with your intuition is that, well, how do I know that it's really me? How, is it's just I'm thinking this, or is how do I deeply know inside? And that's one of the ways that I try to explain to my clients, feel that in your belly. Like, how does that feel? How does your body feel? What other signs are you getting?
Hmm.
And light bulb moments. I think I love that. I think I might have to use that to be like, do you like seriously feel like there's that light bulb on your head, or are you seeing that? Because that I I resonate with that.
Or even I've even gotten the ding ding ding, we have a winner. I've had that in my mind as well. And it's like when I realize something or read something and it's like, wait a minute, and it connects dots.
I get the slow clap. Like, it's about time.
I know our guides are patient and everything because they have no real concept of time anyways, but I don't know. I still, it's like, am I frustrating y'all?
Right. Right. I my one of my favorite, I mean, it's not my favorite, but it is in a sense, is when I hear them laugh at me when they're like, I can't like, I just can't believe you got that just now.
So you have used your passion to expand your gifts and your skills.
I have. So past life regression, what was really funny about it is, it's always been something that's been in the back of my mind, but it was until like a client was like, you should do that. You would be good at that. And I was like, huh, maybe I should. um, but because I hadn't ever experienced it before, I needed to do that first. And so at that time, I had some friends that actually offered that as a service. And I wanted, is this for me? Is this something I really would want to do for my people? And when I experienced my first past life regression, I learned that I was an herbalist. It was like the early 1800s, late 1700s. I worked as a nursemaid, kind of just going in. That's how I met my husband. My husband was a doctor. We lived in this tiny little town. We were new to it. Sometimes my husband would bring me in to help him if he just was kind of struggling with something. Um, and he had brought me into one particular home that did not care so much for women who did any type of healing. And the man that I was caring for was dying. We knew he was dying. The family kind of refused to accept that. I had made a tea for him just basically to get him comfortable. We knew that his passage was coming. He died. I got blamed for his death. While I haven't been able to find information that says exactly well, there's a lot behind it, but was I persecuted as a witch, or was I just put down for murder and that's how I died? That's what I don't know. I also don't know my exact location. So there's a lot of different things that I still need to try to figure out to research that more.
Mm-hmm.
But I was hung for that. And when I came out of that and I was telling the practitioners about it, they were like, "Oh my God, you were a witch." No, I wasn't. I was an herbalist. But you were a witch. No, I was an herbalist. And that just hooked me because it explained, again, so much of why I felt the way that I felt. It made connections with an ancestry meditation that I had done like a year prior to that, with actually meeting an herbalist that had been in the family. It brought all of these things together. I learned not to be afraid of death. As I, saw myself standing there, with this rope going around my neck, staring at my husband, thinking, I can't show emotion. I can't show that I'm scared. I can't show this, because if I do, it will kill him. And I had so much love for this man. Like, oh, I couldn't do that to him. And so I took it. I didn't object to anything. I just did it because I felt like that was the right thing to do. And that brought me power within myself. And again, explaining, why am I so attracted to the weeds in my garden? My husband's like, pull that. No, we can use that. And it worked really well. And so as soon as I finished that, I, was trying to find a great school to where I could learn how to do it. And I went to the Q Institute. The Q Institute is based out of England, which was amazing because that's where my past life was at. So I felt even more connected. The way that she taught it is subconscious healing, which is great because I like that. And of course, I learned all of the aspects of doing different types of regression and hypnotherapy, but I specialize specifically in past life regression because I can see how much that helps us in conquering, our blocks, looking for connection, healing residual energy. Any of that really is so super helpful in moving forward in life.
Mm-hmm. And before you got into past life regression, how were you already helping your clients?
At that point, I was just a Reiki master. I was just, and I did Hunakana as well. So, which is like a body work energy modality. So that was all I was really doing, was that. And then after learning past life regression, I had been kind of playing around with trying to understand my clair senses more. And I stumbled upon Akashic Records, and I thought, well, I'm into Reiki and past life regression. Most of the times when I learn stuff, I learn it for me, and then it's like, oh, I get really good at it, and then I teach other people. um, but once I started learning the Akashic Records, I learned how much that all actually ties in with what I have already learned, which was kind of unexpected.
Mm-hmm.
So, we're energetically tapping into people, into their past lives, into their present, into their possible and probable future. So being able to answer these wonderful questions for them about whatever it is that they need, as well as going in and doing energetic healing while we're going through the records. So it's kind of cool.
I think it's very cool. Like you mentioned earlier about the feeling you had when your very first spell really took, and you had that kind of validation or confirmation. Can you go into that a little bit?
Yeah. So it starts with a journey to the library, actually, which is crazy. My daughter and I we always do a summer book club thing with the library and earn fun points and cool stuff. And we had been going, and normally when I go to the library, I kind of just like, I try to use my intuition to guide me to books. And so I had done that, and it had brought me to this tiny little red skinny book. And it was a spell book. And I was like, I am not getting a spell book from the library. You have got to be kidding me. Nope, not doing it. Put it back. Grabbed a couple other books that interested me, you know, just from like their covers. But other than that, I was like, I'm not doing that. I go home. I dream about this book. Dream about it. And I'm like, why am I obsessed? So like 2 days later, I go back to the library and I check out that book. Bring it home, and I'm kind of thumbing through it, whatever. Sit it down on the coffee table. My daughter and I are like, yeah, let's lay on the couch. Let's watch a movie. We're laying there. From this book, we see an orb come out of the book and float onto me. Both of us sit up and we're looking around. Is this a piece of cotton that's floating around? You know, like what kind of reflection could be coming in? It was an orb. We both are like, it had to be. So I'm thumbing through this book again, and I'm getting ready to go on a trip to Tulsa. I need a little bit of extra money. I'm a little worried about it. I need to, you know, pay for my flight to get out there. That's where I'm like worried. I find a money spell that's in this book, and I'm like, should I try it? I'm like, well, there was an orb that kind of came into me, so let's do it. Why not? I had everything, you know, it was super simple. So that evening, I kind of set everything up, and it's basically you're taking a candle for every either 100 or 1,000 that you need, and then you have your main candle that you're lighting these candles off of. I'm just very, very easy, very simple. And so I was like, sure, okay, this is what we're doing. This is, you know, I'm not asking for much. I think it was like $600. I think that's all. So I do it, and it says, you know, it goes along with the lunar cycle. So, you know, you're doing it. I can't exactly remember. I think it was on the new moon and by the full moon, or do it on the full moon and then by the new moon. I can't remember. It's been a minute, but it's a, you know, it should be fulfilled within this lunar cycle. And so I'm like, okay, let's see how this goes. Well, no joke. About a week later, I get this $300 check that somebody owes me, and I'm like, okay, that's pretty cool.
Definitely.
And then, you know, I get a client, you know, okay, this is adding up. And of course I'm keeping notes, you know, of like what it is that I did, when I did it, what's coming in, you know, how is this working? No joke. I didn't have the money to go to Tulsa. I was able to get that money before then because it was outside of that time. But no joke, within that time period of that lunar cycle that I had, I made that $600.
Awesome.
And I was like, this is crazy. Like, you know, what finalized it was money from an event that I had done that I was told by another person, those people, it'll be like 3 to 6 months before you get that money back. And it came in quicker than what it was. So it wasn't money that was just, you know, random, weird. It was money that was owed to me or through clients, you know, I didn't just get this $1 billion check, but it worked, and it came in, and I was like, I can't believe that this actually worked. I can't believe it. Like it was insane to me. But it was great because it gave me that courage to try new things and to, you know, not be afraid to experiment and do things.
Mm-hmm. I love experimenting. I treat my magic as if, you know, it's kind of like doing science. Like, I wonder what's going to happen if I add this or that.
Yeah. I've also found that like it's very therapeutic. I had done one recently. I was really angry. Oh my gosh, I was so angry. I couldn't sleep. So that's why I actually got up and decided to do some spell work. I just wanted to do like a justice spell. I found out that my CPA wasn't doing what they were supposed to be doing. So basically, you know, paying out hundreds and not getting anything in return. And I was livid. And I mean, I felt it in my body. I was gritting my teeth. I was laying awake at night, just fuming. And I was like, no, we're just going to do this justice spell. And, you know, when I do that, things will be released. And I spent probably I don't know, I think it was maybe 2 hours. I started it at like 4 o'clock in the morning because I was still awake. Um, but when I was done, I felt so much better. I had this clear vision of exactly what it is I needed to do. Um, like steps to take for her, steps I needed to take for me. Um, and it was like 1,000 pounds off my shoulders. Like I never realized how therapeutic it could be. And sure enough, right after that, I was able to find another CPA who hurry and turn things around. Like he thought it was going to take so much longer than what we all thought it was. And I mean, within a week it was taken care of. And I was shocked. So I was like, okay, cool. Like this is fine. And, she'll get hers.
Yeah, that's amazing. And knowing that you proactively took steps to help control how you were responding and to take charge of the situation and change the situation, I don't know, it kind of gave a permission slip for all your guides to be like, hey, we're making this happen. Hey, let's do it. And your guides moved mountains for you.
Yeah. Yeah, they really did. And I'm every day I'm so grateful for my guides and my ancestors, stepping in. I know that they're with me like every step of the way. And, I have an ancestor altar that I have, and they love coffee. And I think it's really cool because sometimes they leave me little hearts in the coffee, or, cool little pictures. And it's like, oh, what's this mean? um, but I am so grateful because that's how I operate on a daily basis. What is it that we're doing today? What, how should we be moving forward? And if I at all ever figure, or feel like I'm struggling with connection, I will read my own Akashic records and kind of go in and be like, okay, what are we doing next? And it's so funny because I'll go in and it's like the people that I need to see are right there. And they're like, okay, let's talk.
That's really cool.
It's fun. I just did an Akashic Records reading like 2 weeks ago on myself, and it was okay. We've kind of come this far in our business. What do we need to do next? What's our next step?
Mm-hmm.
And when I had gone in, because the way that I kind of visualize it is I open a door, and then I am either in the scene, I see a scene, words kind of come at me, I hear different things. So it's kind of, yes, I'm in the records, but I think that some of my other gifts also step forward and my guides are stepping forward. So there's a lot happening. But when I walked in, it was a bunch of my ancestor women. It was Deliverance Day, and it was Mother Leads. It was, I mean, just all of these women that were like, you know what you're supposed to be doing, and we need to start talking about these recipes for your bath bombs because we have some ideas. You got it. I am open. Bring it in.
Like, hey, come on, let's put that herbalism to good use.
Yes, yes. And they have. I mean, and I say we, and anytime I say we, it's always like me, my guides, my ancestors, because it's not just me alone. But we just created a dream bath bomb. It's a mugwort bath with some cedar wood. So not only are we helping you sleep, but we're helping to make those dreams a lot more vivid and, at least remember them at the very least, if you're someone who doesn't remember them. And, we test them and they worked well.
So what kind of stuff do you make besides bath bombs?
Bath bombs is all, well, and shower steamers. That's where we're at right now. These last few months have been, just kind of crazy for me. Um, I'm I read this thing about I am not an astrologer at all. I'm learning astrology for myself because it just helps me understand me a little bit better. But Jupiter being in Taurus had been a weird time for me. My dog died on Christmas Day. I realized 12 years prior to that, my grandmother had died. 12 years prior to that, my great grandmother died. 12 years prior to that, my great grandfather died. All in the same family. Weird. Okay. So that has been in my brain. So I was grieving. during that time is when I came up with the idea of making bath bombs and shower steamers with a purpose, because I was like, yeah, we know bath bombs exist. You can go to these major shops and you can have these crazy colors and, you know, all this foamy stuff. But I was like, all that stuff that's in there is so bad for your body. And like, okay, TMI, you know, I take a bath in that. I have private areas that feel super uncomfortable. So I'm like, how could I do something with that that not only is like natural, non-toxic, vegan, you know, all of that, but I can incorporate things that people need, because a lot of my clients, you know, we don't have the money to come in, we don't have the time. So what could I do that makes something super affordable, super easy, super efficient? And that's when it was like bath bombs and shower steamers with a purpose, you know. Let's put together these ingredients that we know help to clear your energy. We know help to boost your energy. We know it grounds you. We know it does, you know, these things. And so that's just kind of been my focus, is just creating those, because there's so much that we can do with those.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like I haven't even broken the precipice on that. I'm secret currently. I'm working on a new moon one and a full moon one, just because we're going to start getting deeper and deeper into our spells that we can create with these witch bombs.
Awesome. I know my very first spell was actually a bath ritual. I incorporated Epsom salts and herbs and, you know, meditative music and candles and incense and
Yeah, no, I think it's such a great place to work. Especially like for me, I love to meditate in the bath. I like to do my past life regressions in the bath. That water just influences it so much more. And it's relaxing. I mean, water is super healing anyway. And anytime I've ever like talked to my clients about, you know, well, we need to, you know, work on your cleansing or grounding. When I say grounding, my clients look at me like I'm talking a whole other language. I'm like, seriously, go outside, take off your shoes, and just stand in the dirt for like 5 minutes. That's all you got to do. But people just don't like, it doesn't click with them. And so that's when I was like, if I could put everything that you could use, everything that you need in one little ball for less than $10, you can afford that. You don't have to go anywhere else, you know, to do all of your shopping unless you want to. I have no issues with that. But, you know, that was always, well, now I need to go get this and I need to get this. And, you know, they have this huge shopping list. They don't need that anymore. I took care of it for them.
so where can people find these awesome bath bombs and shower steamers?
Yeah, sure. So people can find them on my website. It's wickedly-whole.square.site. That's the whole website. If you want to learn more about them, of course, you can go over to my social media on Facebook or on Instagram. I like to post, you know, the journeys of testing them, what they look like. I've got some ones that'll, you know, you'll be like, oh, that one passed. And then you'll see some that'll be like, oh my God, thank you for not selling that. Um, it's a fun journey for sure.
Awesome. I will definitely be posting the links in the description. Now, you provide Reiki and Akashic Records and past life regressions as well. Is that also through the website or somewhere else?
Well, so you're not going to find that on the website right now.
Okay.
So if that's something that you're wanting, definitely you can contact me through social media or even through the website. You can contact me there. I just don't have it open for booking right now, just since we're super focused on the bath bombs and stuff. But I'm definitely open for doing it if that makes sense.
It does.
Business is a weird thing.
It is. And it goes through weird phases.
Yep, and we are definitely in one of those weird phases. But I love it. It's been a great learning experience, you know. So just go with the flow, and you know, you'll find your way.
Oh, yeah. And go with the flow. You're dealing with, you know, bath and shower with water and all that stuff.
Yeah. I might have to use that in my marketing now.
Like, hey, let the subconscious flow.
I like that. Thanks, Nikki.
I say thank one of the guides because that just kind of came. Our guides are
Thank you.
definitely
I
very active.
appreciate you. Yes.
Is there anything else you want to talk about?
Um, I mean, I could talk to you for hours. So I think, though, I think we covered what we wanted to cover today. Did we? I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we're good.
Any advice to anybody just starting out on their journey?
Oh my gosh. Believe in yourself first and foremost. Always be open. Be open to learning. Be open to making mistakes. Be open to being okay with those mistakes, because without those mistakes, we can't grow. Um, you know, being open to just everything, honestly, and give yourself a lot of grace. It's not easy, and there are going to be days that are just going to be, you're going to want to throw in the towel, but don't. Take a break, drink some water, take a nap, eat some food, start again tomorrow.
And don't be afraid of labels.
Yes, be you. Don't be scared to be you. And if you're scared to be you, call me, because we could talk. Yeah, that's a big one too. Be you, and use that passion and who you are and what you believe in yourself, and use it, because the more passionate you are about something and the more that you resonate it, the more authentic your product or your service is going to be. And that's what people need, is that authenticity.
Most definitely, especially when everything around us seems to be curated and just the highlight reel all the time.
Oh, yeah, don't even get me started.
I'm definitely going to be following you on the socials. I can't wait to check everything out.
Perfect. I appreciate you so much. I appreciate this time being here. I've had a great time. It's been so much fun.
Thank you so much for being on the show.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining me today as we explore what makes us uniquely loved. Be sure to subscribe. More adventure awaits. For more articles and to work with me as your personal guide, go to www.techwitchlayer.com. Always remember, you are accepted, you are valid, you are loved.